Director Christopher Wray, he was back on Capitol Hill today for another hearing, and he gave perhaps his most serious and dire warning yet about the very significant threats that our country is currently facing. Listen closely.
We've seen a rogues gallery of foreign terrorist organizations call for attacks against Americans.
There's an attack right there. The blood on the hand and the Gaza on the arm means death to America.
That individuals or small groups will draw some kind of twisted inspiration from the events in the Middle East to carry out attacks here at home.
And they're allowing that behind him?
Increasingly concerning is the potential for a coordinated attack here in the homeland, akin to the ISIS-K attack we saw at the Russia concert hall just a couple weeks ago. You've got Hezbollah expressing support and praise for Hamas.
Oh, they removed him.
To attack U.S. interests in the region. You've got Al-Qaeda issuing its most
Go
specific
home.
call
This is not your country.
for an
If
attack
that's what you
against
want,
us,
go home.
against the U.S. in the last 5 years. You've got AQAP, Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, calling for jihadists to attack Americans and Jewish communities in the U.S. You've got ISIS urging its followers repeatedly to attack Jewish communities in the U.S. And the irony is that, as anybody who has studied terrorism knows,
Christian
these are terrorist
communities.
organizations that don't typically see eye to eye, but they seem to be united in one thing, which is calling for attacks on us.
All right, here with reaction, former Arizona Attorney General Mark Brnovich and the host of the Tudor Dixon podcast, Tudor Dixon. All right, this is the third time, Tudor, that the FBI director has made these dire threats. Here's what pisses me off about him, is that, okay, I'm taking him at his word. I believe him. I think those threats are real. But he sits by and he's not lifted a finger to stop this president from allowing over, tens and tens of thousands of illegal immigrants and to the tune of 10 million unvetted Joe Biden illegals, tens of thousands coming from China and Russia, Iran, Syria, Egypt, Afghanistan. He hasn't lifted a finger to insist that Joe Biden not only enforce the laws of our country, but stop aiding and abetting in the law breaking by allowing them in unvetted. Now, to me, he can't have it both ways. He can't warn us about the threat, but then not ensure that the laws of this country are being enforced. He would be the top law enforcement agency that would enforce that.
Right, it's like he's sitting there tattling, but he's not willing to do anything. It's very frustrating as you see these numbers. I mean, what he's talking about, these terror organizations, let's not forget that right now we are seeing the fastest growing group coming across the border are Chinese migrants, and we know that Iran and China are working together, that Iran and Russia are working together. All of this axis of evil is working together right now. And they are well aware that we have an open border. I mean, some of the things that he said right there, they're listening to this on FBI chatter. You don't even have to be listening to this through intelligence groups. You can go to X. You can look at the dictator of Iran right now, and he's on X, and he's putting these threats out there. I mean, this is how blatant it is. We, as the American people, can read these on a daily basis, and yet the president of the United States has not taken action.
Nope.
He's almost been shamed into
And
it
the
because
governor of California has opened its door to take more tax money from U.S. citizens and give them free room, board, clothing, telephones, money, credit cards.
Secure the country or get the economy back on track. The guy is a total disaster, and Christopher Wray should be holding him accountable.
Attorney General Brnovich, let me ask you. Doesn't the
This
FBI
has got to be the most evil president we've ever had. Evil. Put there by evil people.
Seeing where people are coming from,
and I'm not talking about the voters.
Making a dire warning like that, doesn't he have an obligation to enforce the law? And that means tell Joe Biden to start enforcing the law, insist upon it?
Absolutely. This border crisis could be solved tomorrow if Joe Biden just started
Globalist.
enforcing existing law. What's so disappointing, I think, to so many Americans is the fact that Joe Biden's lack of concern about the safety of Americans and the security of our southern border literally knows no boundaries, literally, figuratively, and literally. And one of the things I think the next president of the United States should do is there's a federal statute, 8 U.S.C. 1324, that was just upheld last year by the United States Supreme Court, Sean, that says anybody that's aiding and abetting and facilitating illegal immigration is guilty of a federal offense.
Well, there you go.
Why
Biden
is
is
it that you have
guilty.
these sanctuary cities. Why is it that you have these governors and mayors that are providing aid,
Governor
and comfort,
Newsom,
creating financial incentives?
you're breaking the law.
Free hotels, free airfare, giving them Visa gift cards. I mean, my goodness.
Shit.
I mean, the cartels
Letting them fly on
billions of
airplanes without
dollars
ID.
off the people illegally entering our country, and now they're getting thousands of Hilton
And
hotel
for free.
points by
On
now
you.
because we're putting up people illegally into this country into hotels. And what keeps me up at night as a former federal and state prosecutor is not just the millions of people that have illegally entered our country. It's the millions of gotaways, the tens of thousands of
The
people.
gotaway,
predominantly
exactly.
young males, 18 to 35 years
Look at them
old,
ripping
wearing
apart the
black and
fence.
camouflage. Anybody that can enter this country right now illegally under Joe Biden's policies.
These are people that have been released from prisons, insane asylums, mental hospitals. These are the criminals that were released from their prisons and sent here.
Doesn't this guy know when the music's playing, you're supposed to stop talking?
Country that literally are destroying our neighborhoods.